while loops, for loops, strings, floats, integers, one at a time. Today we're gonna get weird. We're gonna do something that's sort of unique to Python. The overall functionality is available in other languages, but the way Python handles it is unique to Python. What we're going to be talking about is something called lists. So, you guys have lots of lists in your life, don't you? Keep track of what you're doing, keep track of stuff that's going on. You know, I found a list that should be front and center in your life, and that would be the Poly list of prereq courses. How you guys doing on this? Checking them off? Got them all taken care of? Okay. Making some progress? What is it? Calculus, calculus, calculus? Yeah. Everybody got that done? Okay.
I think 4 of them.
That's a lot of calculus, okay? But you know the one that always gets you is the third one. Because they run out of the easy stuff to do, and they just go to the hard stuff. Anyway, so are we on here some list? I think we are, aren't we? 2271, look at that. Introduction to competition programming and 3 credits. So look what so this is a list that's in your life. So maybe we should take a closer look at this list and see what we get there. Do you think we could get this list into Python? Yes. How would we get this list into Python? We'd have to have a lot of what? Input statements, right? So what would your input statements look like? It'd be like input. Well, I guess department. Well, actually, I guess course number, right? Chemistry 2045. And then do what? Like course name, chemistry 1, and then like credits, right? But I guess before you did that, you'd have to know like how many classes, right? I mean, you could even use like a while loop or something cool like that. But the problem is that you know you're gonna have to have a separate variable for each one of these, right? This will be like class 1, class 2, class 3. This will be like class 1, catalog number, class 1, name, and then class 1 credits, right? Dang, you're going to have variable names from here to Tomorrowland, right? So there's got to be a better way to do this, right? Let's see what we do here. Let's create a Python list, shall we? All right, so we're going to start out. We're going to start out with 2271C, Introduction to Computation and Programming, and 3 credits. And that's exactly how it comes in. Okay, if you copy it straight off, so there's no commas, no nothing like that, it's just like that. What we'd really like to be able to do is suck that into our Python program and be able to use the data. Understand that there's 3 individual components in that. Okay, so how are we going to do this? Number 1, we're going to convert each one of the names into strings. And how are we going to do that? Double quotes. So we put double quotes around the catalog number. We're going to put double quotes around computation and programming, and we're going to put double quotes around the 3, right? I'm sorry. We put double quotes around the 3. Really? We're going to turn 3 into a string. Really? Is it going to be useful to us to have 3 as a string? No. Cool. Then how about we don't put double quotes around the 3, okay? Really? Come on. All right. So we're done with that. Now we're going to separate each one of the list items from the next with a comma. Bink, comma 1, and bink, comma 2. Pretty easy to do, right? Start to look like a real list now, as opposed to just jumble of characters stuck together. Surround the list of items with opening and closing square brackets. Ooh, okay, now we're starting to get a little bit weird. So, square bracket opening, square bracket closing. Okay, you with me on this one? One last step. Assign the list to an identifier. Okay? Movies in the preceding, oh yeah, whatever. Using the assignment operator equals. So we're down here. Prerequisites equals, square bracket, quote, all this stuff. So basically a variable name. You put a variable name over there, right? So what happened? Everything was whatever, but it just got weird at the end. Well, it turns out that this variable, prerequisites, now has 3 values, right? So one value is COP2271C, another value is Introduction to Computation and Programming, and another value is digit 3. I mean, it's almost like a string, right? But that string's made up of like different things. They're not like characters, it's a bunch of stuff. It's a number and it's 2 strings, right? But it sure seems like that's a handy way to store stuff, right? I mean, because I got all this stuff having to do with COP2271, a title and a number of credits, right? And a catalog number. And now apparently I can just take it all, group it together, and just shove it into a single variable. What would you like to call a list in Python? Got it? Does it make sense? List. It's just a collection of stuff. Yes.
So is a list similar to like an array?
Yeah.
Or is it different?
In a different language, we're using it as equivalent to an array. You're exactly correct. Now notice, subtle difference between this and other languages. Did we declare how large the list was going to be?
No, we didn't declare it was a list.
Did we declare it was a list? And did we tell Python what was going to be in the list? Strings or floats or integers? We didn't do any of that, did we? I mean, Python is holding your hand big time here, right? It says throw whatever you want in there. I don't care. Okay? Poof, and you're good to go. Okay? It's just that you tell it it's a list by these square bracket things. GG. I'm going to stick a list into this variable. Great. Just cool. Got no problem with that. In fact, your list could also just have a single item in it, right? Poof, a list of one. Got no problem with that. Okay. Python is different from other programming languages, okay? Because C, C++, they insist that you tell it what you're going to be dealing with. Character, example 1. So example 1 is a character variable. Integer, example 2 equals 5. Okay, that's cool. That means that you got an integer is what an example 2 is. Void is example 3. It means that it doesn't actually have any value whatsoever. If you take a look at any of these other languages, before you use a variable, you have to declare what it's going to be. We know in Python that's actually not the case, and especially when we're doing lists. We don't have to say anything about what's going into lists. We can throw any stuff in there that we want. You can think about Python's list as being a high-level collection of stuff. Not a problem with that whatsoever. Type of data items is not important to the list. All Python needs to know is that you need a list. You've given it a name, and the list has some data items in it. Does not care what goes into it. Stick anything you want in there. Python is extraordinarily cool about this. Got it? Got it. So, if we're doing this list stuff, what does it look like inside the computer? What does a list look like to Python? Okay, well, so here's our list. Prereqs. We've got the catalog number, the title of the course, and we've got the number of credits. If you go down here, you'll see exactly what's going on inside the computer. It's storing it in an array. Okay, which basically means it's storing one item, another item, and another item. They're stacked on top of each other. And notice that Python now gives you also the ability to access each one of these items using an index value. And the index value, as it always does in Python, starts from what number? 0. Exactly. That is exactly correct. Okay? That'll become important a little bit later on. Okay, so how do you get to the stuff that's stored in the list? Okay. List is a sequence of elements, each of which has a position or an index. To access a list element, you specify which index you want to use. An index starts at what? 0. Okay. This is done with the subscript operator square square in the same way that you access these two characters in a string. For example, print values square square 5. I mean, if I have a list, it would print the 5th thing on that list. Actually, really, it would print the what on the list? These 6 things, right? Because it's going to start counting from 0 up to 5, that is 6, right?
So you print value 5, do you have to specify for which list? Or?
Well, values is the list.
Oh,
So
okay.
somewhere else, magically, I built a list that had 10 things in it.
That's
Okay?
right, value.
And I called it values, right? And I shoved 10 things into it. And now I'm going to print out the 6th item on that list. Okay. Access your list using the square bracket notation. So print prerequisites 0 square 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 gets us what? The catalog number, right? We're cool with that. Print prerequisites square bracket 1 gives us the title for the course. And down here, print prerequisite square bracket 2 gives us the number of credits. So let's see what this would actually look like in Python code, shall we? Poof! All right. Oh my God. That looks like a lot of coding. What's up with that? So load up rows of the list table with the poly prerequisite data. So prerequisite 1 is square bracket CHM 2045 double quote comma chemistry 1 double quote comma 3. Okay, just like we were talking about. So now prerequisite 1 has been identified to Python as being what type of variable? It's a list. Now I do the same thing for 2 through 13. I got 13 lists now. Alright, that's pretty cool. Now I want to start picking stuff out of this prereq 1. Okay? So print prereq 1 square bracket 0, pre-bracket 1, square bracket 1, pre-bracket 1, square bracket 2. What should that print out? CHM 2045, chemistry 1, and 3 for the credits. That make sense? Shall we run it and find out how that happened?
Perhaps this is some sort of grand learning experience where what you expect happens doesn't happen. Okay, so it's actually not a grand learning experience. I think the comma automatically causes the space to occur. Okay. That worked out pretty well. This should be example number 2. I wonder what that's all about. All right, well, let's take a peek. Okay.
Would you ever start like the pre-bracket at 0 as a name, just keep using that as data file?
Yeah, that'd be no problem with that. Because you're, well, actually, I guess it really doesn't matter in this case, because I'm not actually referencing it, you know, the prereqs are from the list, right? They're all standalone stuff. The answer is yes. I think the only difference on this one is I actually do one extra command here. List length equals length of a prereq 1. What should that give you? So here's prereq 1. How many items are on that list? Catalog number, title of the course, and credit. Which comes out to be what? So if we said that, give me the length of the list, you would expect me to tell us that. 3. I like how you're thinking. She says every 1. Woohoo! What's our list length? Yay! Okay. So apparently we can give a length or familiar length. Length can take around for 1 month. We length of strings all the time. But now we length of the list, right? It'll tell us how many things we have on our list. No matter how big or short any one of those are, we don't really care. It's just that it's on the list, right? You create multi-dimensional lists. Uh-oh, I think my brain just broke. Multi-dimensional lists? Like here and like in another universe? What's a multi-dimensional list? Is it like 3D? Like if you look at it from a different way, it looks like the list is coming toward you.
That'd be sort of cool if it was.
Multi-dimensional means you have more than one dimension. Okay, we're cool with that. We're cool with that. Now our last list here, it had how many dimensions? Really 1, right? It was a bunch of rows, right? This one. So if it's multi-dimensional, I guess it has rows, because that would be 1 dimension, right? But maybe it also has columns, all right? So if I have rows and columns, and if I can stick something at the intersection of a row and a column, right? If I can stick a list at the intersection of any row and column, would that be a multi-dimensional? That sound like a multi-dimensional?
Yes.
So I had something that looked like this. Rows and columns, rows and columns, rows and columns. And I could store a list at any one of these locations. Would we agree that that is multi-dimensional? Okay. So if we could do that, that'd be sort of cool, I think, right? All right. List can hold mix of data types. Gets even better than that. List can hold collections of lists. A list of lists. Try saying that 3 times real fast without spraying everybody around you. List of not. List of AI. And actually you can do it. Simply embed the inner list within the enclosing list as needed. Okay, so multi-dimensional list. Square bracket. Here comes, square bracket. 1, 2, 3. Square bracket, comma. Square bracket 4, 5, 6, comma. 7, 8, 9 equals. So basically in this one, I've got 3 rows of 3 things per row, right?
So, would that make 3 up with this?
So yes. Well, it's one list, multi-dimensional, okay? But within that list, there are 3 separate lists. Got it? Now this starts to get important. Multi-dimensional lists are actually sort of important because it's a clever way to store lots of data. That's exactly right. So think about the homework problem you just did. How many patients did we have? We had 3, right? And you had to run your program how many times? 3 times. Wouldn't it have been nice if you'd been able to store all that patient data in your program and then use it when you needed it? So that patient data consisted of what? There was last name, first name, middle initial, address in all of its fabulous forms, insurance, yes or no, date of birth, no, gender, social security number. Gotcha. Does that smell like a list?
Yes.
Could that be a list now? All that stuff. Could you cram it into a list? Cool. And if I had multiple customers, could I take those customer lists and stick it into yet another list? Could I have a list of customers?
Yeah.
And if I had a list of customers, then each one of the items in that list of customers would have the data on a given customer. So here's a list of all my customers. And then if I dive into any one of those lists, I actually get the customer data. That make sense? So multidimensional, it's important for homework too. I'm sorry, it's just an important concept to have. Okay? Got it? Okay. Wait. 3. How much time do we have? Okay, so we're going to prereqs. Hey, we're familiar with prereqs. That's very usage. But oddly enough, there's a number. Okay, well, equals square bracket, catalog, identifier, title of course, number of credit, square bracket. So what did we just do there? We created a list of a list. And there's only one list in this. It's not terribly exciting, right? But now prereqs contains a list. It does not contain catalog, course title, credits. I mean, that is in there, yes. But really, from a prereqs point of view, it contains one list. And oh, by the way, inside that list is all the cool information. Now look what we're going to do. Prereqs equals prereqs plus the next course. And we've got this square stuff going on. So what we're doing is we're saying, I've got a list of lists, and I'm going to stick more lists into my list of lists. So when I get done with all this madness, what am I actually going to have? I'm going to have one variable, prereqs, and it's going to have a size. What's the size, the length of prereqs going to be? It's a list of lists. How many lists are there? How many prereqs do you have here? So, if I do length of prereqs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. The answer should be 13. Because prereqs is a list that contains lists. It's not 3 times 13. Because when it says length, if you can't see inside the list that it has, you can only see how many lists it has. But what a cool way to store a lot of data in a single variable, right? That prereqs is pretty well loaded at this point. I mean, it's got all of your prereqs in it, right? Okay. Now, if I want to, remember, if I want to pull out all of the information that I put in there, it's time to use my brand new bestest friend in the whole entire world, Mr. Who? For loop. Okay. So Mr. For loop is if course is in range, length, prereqs. What's going on there? Course, okay, so that seems to be a variable. That's fine. is in range length of prereqs. Well, okay, how many prereqs are there? 13. We're doing range of prereqs. So what's that actually going to give us?
0 to 12.
0 to 12. Remember we talked about this last time. This is one of the forms of that range variable, right? Okay. And we're going to do print prereqs course. Okay, so prereqs, then we're going to have course in square brackets, and then we're going to have a 0 in square brackets. So we have like two things that come after prereqs. Why? Well, if I want to print out CHM 2045, I actually have to do two things, right? Talk about prereqs. Prereqs is a list of lists, right? So the very first thing that I have to do is say, hey, which lists in prereqs am I interested in? Which one of these courses, which one of these lists of course data am I interested in, right? So number one, I got to pick the course. Number two, I have to pick, once I pick the course, which one of the three data items inside the course do I care about? All right, is this making sense? So if I wanted to print out any of this data, number one, I have to say which list is it part of? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then secondly, I have to say which one of these three items do I care about? The first one, the last one, or the middle one, right? So when I come down here, I go print prereqs course. Remember, course is going to be a variable from 0 to 12. That was like for each one of these, for each one of the courses. And then I have a 0, a 1, and a 2 that comes after that. Because this will be location 0, the catalog number. This will be location 1, chemistry 1. And this will be location 2, 3. So I claim the single print statement inside of my for loop should print out all of this stuff. Should we find out? How do we do? So one of the things we did right away was print the length of prereqs. And what did that come out to be? 13. So that prereqs variable has stuffed into it how many lists? 13 lists have been packed into prereqs, right? And then we went stepping through each one of the 13 lists. So this was list number 1. Give me item number 1 on list number 1. Give me item number 2 on list number 1. Give me item number 3 on list number 1. Does that make sense? Then we went to list number 2. Give me item number 0. I guess is what it really was. Give me item number 1. Give me item number 2. List 3. Give me item 0. Give me item 1. Give me item 2. Once again, we're dealing with multi-dimensional lists, which is a great way to store a lot of data into a single Python variable. How many credits need to be taken to satisfy the University of Florida's Polytechnic University's prerequisites? So if you took all of your prereq courses, how many credits would that total out to be?
Out of the number 2 is out of the number 2 slot.
So we have a variable that's stuffed with lists of information about your prereq courses, right? And each one of those lists contains 3 pieces of information. The first one is your catalog item. The second one is what? The title of the class, the class name, does it? And the third one is what?
Credits.
Credits. So it seems like we'd like to access that credit thing, right? And we'd like to pull the credit out of each one of those 13 lists that are packed into that variable and add them all together, right? Okay. So we got that variable called prereqs, right? And prereqs holds 13 lists. So how are we going to reach into prereqs and pull out the piece of information that we need?
The same thing as we had to accept you don't grab the first 2 sections and then you just add up since they're
Exactly right. That will work perfectly. So how will that command be formatted? So I would say, look, here's my total number of credits that I need equals what expression? So the variable is called prereqs. that holds all the information, right? Gotcha. Okay, well, you're right. So we need a for loop, right? How many times does the for loop have to loop? Eternity. Well, it does have to loop 13 times, but we're really cool about this. When we say the actual loop the length of prereqs. And when we say length of prereqs, it'll loop for each one of the lists that we've put into prereqs, right? So we're just being cool. We happen to know it's 13. So 13 before that is one possible. We're going to do it cool. Okay. Cool. All right. So we got this for loop. It's coming along. So very first pass in the for loop, what do we want to do? We want to say the sum of all the credits that you need equals what? Probably that sum plus what? Where's the data stored in? What variables is it stored in? Prereqs. Okay, so we'll start with prereqs. Okay, great. Now we want to get into one of the lists that's in prereqs, right? So how are we going to do that? And it's going to be the one that's referenced by whatever the loop variable is, right? So we just put 2 square brackets. We just put the loop variable in there, right? That's going to be, it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so that's cool. All right, so now we've got our hands on the list. We're real close on this one. Now what do we need to do? List isn't good enough because list has 3 things, right? So now what do we have to do? And how do we do that? We put another square thing after the other square thing, and we put a 2 in there, right? Because we know it's in the 3rd location. That should do it, right? Let's see what this would look like in code. Cool. All right.
Might be a little bit easier for you to see. No, I think it's all good. Okay.
So this is something that we've seen this, right? This is just us loading up prereqs. So the variable prereqs contains all the prerequisite course information. Who? It's a list of lists. Okay, cool. Great. So print length, print course, and okay, so we just print it all out. Now, calculate how many credits needed to satisfy college prereqs. Total credits equals 0. Just initializing all the different prereqs. No big deal with that. So this is where we get your for loop. For course in range length prereqs, remember we're being told here, that's going to loop through it for each one of the lists that's in prereqs. Okay, cool. So we know what's going to do there. Total credits equals total credits plus, here we go, this is the payoff, you ready? Prereqs, square bracket, course, square bracket, remember courses are loop variable. Course is going to be initially 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 12. Okay? What we're doing is we're pointing to which list in prereqs do we care about. Okay? Which one of the lists do we care about? We've got that pointed. Now right after that comes another square bracket, and it's got the number 2 in it. Why do we do that? Because I only want the credits, right? And remember, each list for your prereq courses has 3 items. 0, 1, and 2. 0 is the catalog entry, 2 is the title, and 3 is the number of credits, right? And then after we make our for loop, we say, hey, here's the total number of credits that you need. Give it a run and see what it looks like. All right, we saw this before. The length of prereqs is 13. It's got 13 lists in it. We printed it all out so we see exactly what's there. And then we have total credits required is 37. So we would assume that if we added up 3 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 3 and 4, 4, 4, 4, you would eventually get to 37. Make sense? All right, so what did we just do here? So we took all of this information on prerequisites, and for each course we have 3 items of information. We created a list for each class. Boom, 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 boom. Great, that was fantastic. Then we took all of those lists, all 13 of those lists, and we shoved them into one variable, prereqs. Fantastic, that's great, that's wonderful. Now, what we just did is we went stepping through that one variable and its 13 lists, and we pulled out one piece of information from each list and added it up to figure out the total number of credits that you have to pass in order to complete need to satisfy your prereqs of this university. Do you understand what we just did? Okay. Interestingly enough, this is sort of back pocket stuff. You can actually access a list backwards by using negative numbers. Okay? Python allows you to have negative subscripts. What the heck? Negative subscript provides access to list elements in reverse order. For example, a subscript of -1 provides access to the last element in the list. Last equals values minus 1. That's sort of interesting, isn't it? What it means is in our last example, instead of putting a 2, could we put a -1? Because we know that the credits was at the tail end of the list, right? Let's give it a shot. Not a big deal. Should work that way.
So where were we? We were down here. There's 2.
Just so everybody sees it, exact same thing. The total credits equals total credits plus prereqs, referencing the list using force. And now we change the 2 to a -1. What that's telling us is that negative indexing means we're coming in from the right-hand side, right? So we're going to pick off the last item in each list. Because we know what the list looks like, we know that we put the course credits as the tail end item. So we should get exactly the same answer, which was what, 37, whatever it was?
All right, let's give it a shot. See how that goes. Woohoo! Did we get the same answer? All right. Apparently negative indexing works.
Why be positive when you can get negative? All right. What's the difference between a list and a string? Not that much, really. A string is a list. Both lists and strings are sequences. The square operator can be used to access an element in any sequence. Okay? There are 2 important differences between lists and strings. First off, lists can hold values of any type. Floats or integers or other strings or what have you, not a problem whatsoever. Obviously, a string can only hold what? Characters. Individual characters. That's all you can change to a string. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a string, right? Now, here's the other thing. You can't change strings. And as I discovered much to my chagrin, you can't say string index location 4 is equal to capital A. You can't do that. Python doesn't let you do that. However, if I'm dealing with a list, I can say list location 4 equals anything I darn well please. And it actually will get changed. So you cannot change strings on location by location basis. You can look them up. You can say, hey, string, what do you have stored at location 4? No problem with that question. But you can't say, hey, string location 4, place this character there. Python does not allow you to do that. What happens when you copy a list? All right, so man, I shoved everything into prereqs. Fantastic. Now I copy prereqs to prereqs 2. All right, fantastic. What just happened? So here's what happens. Prereqs and prereqs 2 in this case would both point to the same memory location. So I didn't really copy it. What I copied was the address in memory where that list of lists is stored. What it means is that if I make a change to any one of those courses, both prereqs and prereqs 2 will indicate that the change has been made. Okay? So this is really important. When you make a copy in Python, all you're really doing is copying the pointer to the memory location.
So it's not a separate.
It's not a separate one, okay? So you can screw yourself up big time. You'd actually have to copy all this stuff out and create a brand new variable if you want to actually make a copy. Okay? Lists are much more than just simple arrays. Lists in Python are full-blown Python collection objects. This means that lists come with a bunch of ready-to-use functionality in the form of list methods, which a bunch of you use on talking about that later. Okay. Your built-in function, which you already know about, is length. We've seen that used. But it turns out that we've got 5 other ones. Append, pop, remove, insert, and extend. So you can really manipulate lists. Lists are really at the heart of what Python is. I really don't think you can look at a real Python program and find out that it's not using a list somewhere, somehow. Okay? So this is an incredibly important tool. Let's take a look and see what these methods actually do. So append. So we have our course information, right? Let's go ahead and add teacher information and year to what you already have. So what do we got going on here? So once again, we're loading up, poof, making our list of lists, we're off on that. Add 2 more items to each list and then print it out. Okay, for course in range, 9 through X, so basically, we're going to go step through each one of the lists that we stored in prereqs. You know about this, we've done 100 times. Prereqs, course, it's in the list, dot, append, Dr. Anderson, prereqs course, dot, append, 2015. So what did we just do? For each list, we just shove 2 more things onto the end of the list. That's what a pen does, right? And then what we do is go ahead and print it out. Woohoo! So here's catalog, chemistry 1, credit. Oh, hey, look. Dr. Anderson 2015. And we added that to every single one list. But we appended it to each one list. Make sense? Okay.
So that's one method that you now have available to you. Pop!
Pop travels with a pen. What does it do? Allows you to remove the item that's at the end of the list. So we just added Dr. Anderson 2015 to all our lists. So what's the item that's at the end of our list right now? 2015. So when we pop it, we can take that off, right? 2015 off. So prereq course dot pop parent. So what we got going on here? I think that's pretty simple. So for each one of the lists that's in our list, prereqs, course, pen, Dr. Anderson.
Wrong code. No, oh, I know what I did. Oop, my bad. I have included all the code, and that's why I got confused. Okay, let's try this.
We did all this, so we stuck Dr. Anderson 2015 on there. Now we're going to remove 2015, just do two lines. And then we do prereqs, course, dot, pop. So when we print out our stuff, what should now be the last item on each list? Dr. Anderson. Let's give it a shot, do it a little bit. Woohoo! Alright. So we know we got 13 lists. Now we print out Dr. Anderson 2015. Fantastic. We did 2 lines. We know we popped each list, which removes the very last item. So now you can see each list has a very final item is Dr. Because of the way my print statement worked out.
See if you can see down to the bottom here.
For details, the range, length, prerequisite course, print, prerequisite course, detailed, comma, space, and then stay on the line. Basically, every time I printed an item that was in the list, I ended up printing a comma at the end of it. When I printed the last item, I printed a comma at the end of it. That's why you see the comma tagging on the end. I can get all sophisticated and say, oh, hey, am I printing the last item in the list? If so, then don't print the comma. Can I ask you a question? Next item, remove. Allows you to specify specifically which item you want to remove no matter where in the list that it's located. So you can spell it out and say, listen, I want to remove Mississippi from my list. Poof, you'll find it. Okay? In this particular case, on our list, we have Dr. Anderson, right? Well, let's go hunting with the string that is Dr. Anderson, and if we find it, let's remove it.
Don't worry, we can always put it back.
So let's see. This is our pop. We go pop, 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 so we take 2015 off. Remember, first we added 2015 to Dr. Anderson. Then we popped off 2015, so it's on. Now we're down here, we're going to actually do a remove of Dr. Anderson. Prereqs, course, dot, remove, and then we specify the string that we actually want to remove. All right? So every time we find that string as an element, we're going to pop it out. Good job. Oh, and it just keeps going. Okay, so this is Dr. Anderson 2015. We popped off 2015. Now we go down here and we did a remove of Dr. Anderson. So 2015 and Dr. Anderson completely gone. So, all right, well, this is how this seems to work. At least that's good. Insert. Hey, okay, stop zooming back. Hey. Allows you to add a list in a specified location. So remember, our list has 3 items, right? Catalog, title, and credits. Cool. Now we want to stick it in the phrase really hard. Where do we want to stick it? We're going to stick it in, I guess, location 0, 1, 2, 3. We'll stick it in location 2, okay? We'll stick it before that. That should not be used.
All right.
Go through each one of the lists, prereqs, course, dot, insert, in location number 2, the string really hard. Alright? The magic here, let's give it a run, see how it looks. Woo! Alright, so we had Dr. Anderson here, we removed Dr. Anderson, now we're down here, we're doing our insert. We want to insert really hard into each one of our lists, and we want to do the location 0, 1, 2, 3. So we're going to location 2. So you have the ability to, on any of the lists that you have, insert a new item in any particular location you want on that list. You are in complete control of your list.
I think I only have one more of these to do. Let's take a look.
Extend. So it allows multiple list items to be added to an existing list. Hey, great, you have a fantastic list. Then you want to stick a bunch of stuff, more than just one item. You want to stick a bunch of stuff onto your list. Well, that's exactly what extend is. Because what extend does is it takes a list and it sticks it on your list, which gives you what? A super list, or at least a longer list. So we have a prereqs, course, extend. Oh, we're coming back. Thank you very much, Dr. Anderson 2015. Let's see how that works.
All right.
Here we go, last little bit. Prereqs, course, extend, trend. Then the square brackets, because really what we're appending is a list to a list. Okay? In our square brackets, we put Dr. Anderson in 2015. Close it off with those square brackets, and let's see what this happens.
What happens when we run it?
Alright, so we did all this stuff, we stuck really hard in, so we're really cool with that. Then we came down here and we extended each one of our lists by adding Dr. Anderson in 2015 to each list. Wow. And we could have added a lot more, right? Because it's really just we were bringing together two lists. I would like to take this list of stuff and add it to the list that I already have. That's exactly what extend does. Man, you can manipulate these lists like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
Details.
Just checking. Fantastic. So what's in your Python toolbox now? Print, math, strings, IO, if else, elif, while, for, and your brand new friend, lists. And a powerful friend it is.
I need a mallet in the hand.
We're already on the second line of stuff that's in your stuff. Man. What did we cover today? We covered lists, and we covered the extraordinarily scary but terribly powerful multi-dimensional list, right? What are we going to do next time? More lists!